What's going on, everyone? Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing out there? Thank you so much for tuning in to another great epic episode of Just My Opinion Reviews. Guys, we are talking Shogun, episode 7. We're getting closer to the end, titled A Stick of Time. Outplayed by new alliances in Osaka, Toranaga is forced to carve out a new deal with a long lost family friend. Man. Guys, if you did not know already that this is going to be a spoiler filled recap, me and my lovely guests are going to spoil this episode up, down, left, right, in, and out as if you've already seen it. That is your warning. And yes, my guest, Miss Kimberly Kern from Southern California, with that bright smile. Ma'am, how are you doing today? Let the people know.
Oh man, I'm doing great. It is pouring rain here in California, but that's okay because I was at the beach yesterday. Perks of
Nice,
Cali, man. Perks of Cali.
nice. Was it cold yesterday, or was the sun out, or was
It
it kind
was beautiful. It was nice at the beach, and now we have a full on rainstorm, which Californians were such wimps. So if you're from the Midwest, if you're from the South, my hat is off to you. Yes, we are wimps. Yes, we are little babies when we get a little rain. Not
of
gonna
that's that's
lie. But
right?
I was comforted by episode 7.
Good. Yes, y'all. Episode 7 is going down. If you love what me and Miss Kimberly has to say, you can follow both of us on social media. Our handle is on the screen. Also, I keep for her information will be in the description box of this video. I'm going to make sure of it. And like always, this is going to be debuting on her channel as well. So whether you're watching this on my channel, her channel, subscribe to her channel, my channel, both channels, we both have the recaps, the reviews, the reactions for you. But man, Miss Kimberly, my or woman, my goodness, this episode, some unexpected things happen. What is going to happen next? I'm very curious. Some people just need to sit down and mind their own business. They think they're doing, justice and serving their Lord, but they're making things worse. Just two times in this season, and you know who I'm talking about. And also, man, your boy Toranaga is frustrated. Just all these decisions he has to make. People are not doing their duty to the utmost degree, and it is making everything muddy and cloudy and just really hard to maneuver, since he's been known as a trickster. This was another great episode. I liked episode 6, the about the Willow World. That was
So
great.
good.
We had a lot of great time discussing that. It was a lot of fun. But I think I like this one a little bit more. I did, because first time I saw it, I just did not think that these things were going to happen, and I was shocked. And there's a saying that says blood is thicker than water, but not in this episode. It was quite thin, man, and people are stabbing each other in the back. So I really did enjoy it. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. What were your feelings after this episode ended? Did you like it, love it, somewhere in the middle? Where are you at?
This was very cinematic for me. I think the value that they're putting in, that the executive producers have put into this show, is definitely top tier. You are not getting to be quality here at all. No to be quality here. The executive producers have poured into their whole cast. The crew is excellent. The cinematography has been great. Um, Giving it up to the unsung heroes of the things that bring stories to life, which are lighting. I really noticed in this episode, I really wanted to give a shout out to the lighting team. I thought it was lit beautifully for all of the evening scenes and the kind of by the fire scenes that we have. It just is a beautifully lit show. For some reason, this episode, it was deeper, it was more serious, but the look of it, the feel, the pacing of it, it was a little bit slower for me. But for me, it was that part. If this was a film, it was that part of the movie where things right before stuff goes down and you're feeling good and comfortable, and you look to your left and your right, and you're like, no, I know I'm getting betrayed, but wait, what? So some stuff is really going down. And Toranaga, Hiroyuki Sanada, he's just doing such a great job here. I am frustrated with him. I'm so frustrated. He needs to be pensive. He needs to have time for thought. And he keeps having to deal with like sixth grade kind of like you like him and he's looking at you, but he looked at my wife and can I put teacher, can I pull you aside? He looked at me funny and he's like, yo, this is my life. This is my country and you guys are bothering me. Then Lady Marmalade got something to say, want to pull me aside and just I don't have time for all of this. And so um this was very, very cinematic to
I
me.
got you.
A good drama to me.
I got you, man. That's very funny. Your sixth grade analogy reference there because that's perfect. Because when he charged up Mariko, after Bonturo, her husband, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to. I don't know if I want to use the word whining because I was trying to sympathize with him a little bit. We know he's an a hole, but
Baby.
just but when he knocked the sword or the small blade out of Mariko's hand when she was begging for death, when he went outside the tent and looked up at the sky and saw the rain and the clouds and just how dark and gloomy it was, he took a deep sigh that just spoke volumes to me. And I was just like, man, I really feel sorry for this guy, right here. He was betrayed by so many people. Bontaro's
Yeah.
getting on his nerves. Mariko is pillowing with the engine behind his back. And he knows, even though he's not gonna call her out on it, his son has started a war and his brother betrayed him. And so he just like, Lord God, or whoever he prays to, like, please give me a break. Okay. Why do I have to go through this? I mean, ever since I was a 12-year-old boy, and even before that, I've been fighting wars, and this is really difficult, and I don't know what to do. And so, shout out to Tornaga, shout out to Hiro Sanaka. I forgot his first name. Excuse me. Um,
Hiroyuki Sanada?
thank you, Hiroyuki Sonata. He's just doing an incredible job, and it's also interesting. You told me that this first episode, I mean, not this first episode, but this episode here was a bit slower for you. I mean, that's fine. I thought episode 6 was a bit slower. This one was a bit, better pace for me, but whatever floats your boat, all that good stuff. Something that I do want to talk about that caught me off guard is your boy Yabashuge. He's been playing the fence this whole season, both sides. Sometimes it was Tornaga, excuse me. Sometimes he's with Shido. And I don't know why, but I got a big laugh after Saki, Toranaga's half brother, was like, hey, so, after they blocked out the checkpoints, he's like, hey, so you tried to send one of your generals back to Osaka to Shido to try to negotiate a private peace.
What's
And
in the box? What's in the box?
yes, yes, I did. I just got nothing but smile. I just smiled. I was like, I mean, not a Shido, but Yabashuge, that is what you get right there. What did you expect the Shido to do?
Always trying to cut a
Yeah,
deal on the side, man. Always trying to cut a damn deal on the side.
yeah, man. Yeah,
He's that guy that is like, if this was a drug cartel movie, he would also be opening his jacket and being like, by the way, I got watches. I got watches, I got watches, I got watches. I know we selling coke across seas, but come
yeah,
on, Rolex, like what you want? Like he's
yeah,
always doing something on the side. And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
bro, but he brings it on himself. That's why he said, every death I escape, there's another one waiting.
yeah,
But you can't cry about that. You cause all of this for yourself. You're
yeah,
a double-minded man.
yeah, 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 yeah. I got a good laugh out of that. I like the watches thing too. I got these cheeseburgers. That's probably taking it too far, but you know, yeah, man. I was really tickled after that part, after that scene right there. It's just that just
And
it just
he
applied
looked at the
respect to
box
it.
like, ah, damn it.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
knew.
Right. Didn't even he laughed it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have been what really would have been satisfying. I'm glad it was a surprise because I did not see that coming at all. But
Mhm.
I was also thinking to myself, first I was like, man, I cannot wait to ask Kimberly about this. This is going to be one of my first things we talk about. But I really want to see the facial expression of the journal that he sent when the request was made. Like, you want me to go do what? Are you really expecting me to come back alive? Or was he very naive and like, okay, boss, I got you. I'll be right back.
He
Um,
probably he tells so many he's one of those guys, he tells so many lies, he can't even keep up with them, and he probably has God, he's such a cult leader. He probably has so many people being like, "Yes, you are gonna overthrow the throne." Like, he just, oh, he's such a liar. But all of this, like, so much has been happening that's out of his control
yeah.
that has been screwing him up. Other people, other parties, especially Omi, man, Omi has been jacking up Yabushige. Yabushige, he's like, I got a plan. It's smooth sailing. And then all these people are coming in with their own ideas of what they want to do. And then you have the earthquake. And so he's in a position where he's like when they went to ask the brother, and he was ashamed. He's like, we're gonna beg this guy to help us. Really? Is that where we
Yeah.
are? And it's like, that's where you are, son. Like, if you would have picked the side, like, you wouldn't have to be here right now.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to ask you about Omi. Like, I'm starting to just like him less and less. I don't even know who I like, who is worse to me, Yabashige or his nephew Omi, because he's the one feeding all this BS to Nagakata. Like too afraid to do things himself. Like, you do it. Let me influence you. And
Yep.
man, I mean, goodness gracious, is Kiku stuff that good to where you go begging to, hey, can I get my wife back? I
That
miss
girl got
her.
sunshine.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Oh, man.
Jen is like, no, lady, as you say, Lady Mama, like, no, I'm
Lady
sorry.
Marmalade.
She's booked for a week with Lord Saki over here. Well, can I at least talk to her? I just want to look at her face, please. I just want to kiss on the cheek or something like, man, that's I don't know.
Dude,
That's pretty whack to me. How did you feel about that interaction?
bro, Lady Marmalade, aka Bonita Betrell, she's like, look, I don't talk about my clients. Like, how dare you even ask? But I ain't want to gossip, so you didn't hear it from me. But Blackthorn and Mariko, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe there's something. Like, she's such a gossip. Immediately, I was like, Bonita Betrell, Bonita Betrell. She was telling all the tea after being like, I mean, I'm paid very highly. I can't talk about it. But man, he can't freaking win. His girl is always getting stolen by someone, and now she's being taken for a whole week.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is hilarious, but he's the devil. He's not the kind of he's the devil. A lot of people, oh, the devil does this and that. No, the devil whispers. He whispers to the weak parts of you to see what he can get you to do. And
Yeah.
that's what Omi does. He doesn't really do anything on his own. He's all about listening and whispering.
Yeah. Yeah.
AKA, he's a little, am I gonna say he's a little biatch?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You took the worst part of my out of my mouth. That's pretty
Sorry.
weak. Yeah, the engine got it. And he got Kiku and Mariko. Probably could have got no, yeah, Kiki or Kiko. But probably could have got Fuji as well.
All
But
these girls is Kiki, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the engine got it. Lord Saki got it. Everybody else in the village, and he's still in love. Maybe that's. I'm just thinking maybe that's the only woman he's ever been with. You know, and and excuse me, that's why she has that effect on him. But I don't
He's
know.
the kind of guy that thinks a stripper really is in love with him.
Man, there you go, right there.
She
I
says
like
she loved me, so I'm
it.
gonna kill her
Right,
boyfriend for her.
right,
Like,
right.
okay.
Right, right, right. Now, a little while ago, I said that I was trying to sympathize with Buntaro because, for one, I know that he's an a-hole to his wife, Mariko. And he was probably that way off screen before the season started. I'm not sure. You can let me know what you think. But if I want to play devil's advocate and put myself in his shoes, he knows that the engine tapped his wife. And so you're gonna feel some way about that. Kim is like, so I mean, she thought he was dead, but it's like, man, he's fighting for his life, trying to serve his Lord, and strategically escapes, finally makes it back to his wife. And he's like, wait a minute, you two got together last night. And so you can't really get mad at him, for feeling some type of way about that, because he hasn't necessarily confronted her about it. But a few episodes ago, when they're eating at the home, he can sense the energy. He knows something went down, and I can't blame him for being a bit salty for that. What say you, Kim? Are you with me or are you against me in that?
Dude, no, I feel you. And also but also you bring it upon, let this be a lesson, whether it's 1600s or whether it's today. If your life is chaos, look around it like you're the problem. Like, before you start to blame everyone else, like, you're the problem. He only knows her one way, and that's oppressed. Okay. So he notices if she's smiling, because he's insulting her at every turn. He's always reminding her of her family. Like, so if she's got a genuine smile on her face, to him, he's the only thing he's used to her smiling at is her son. That's when she has true joy. Otherwise, nothing brings her true joy. So when he sees her having true joy on her face, he knows something's up, because he likes to keep her under his thumb. And at times I may not feel, but just have an understanding of, like, okay, we get it now, especially from episode 6. You want to be loved, and all she does is ask for death. But I'm sorry, when was the last time you were tender and kind with her? When was the last time you said, it doesn't matter what happened with your family, I will cover you? When was the last time you did that? Yet you want to complain because she found joy somewhere. You know what? It's not. It's just the icing on the cake that is the engine. That for him, it's a white boy. That's just the icing on the cake. She could have found joy with a lowly fisherman, and you would have been pissed off. But you just really hate that it's the barbarian. So I'm annoyed with him, because I'm like, if you hadn't kept her so oppressed, then maybe we wouldn't find ourselves where she's asking for death. And what a little brat he is. You're supposed to be a warrior. You're supposed to be someone that understands their leader and follows their leader. And this guy is in turmoil, and you ask for time with him, a stick of time, so that you can tell him, look, first of all, I thought it was so rude of him. And as a soldier, to say to your leader, look, things are looking bad, kind of going to die anyway. Can you just promise me this? Since we're going to die, let me kill the engine first. That's no hope in your leader. You guys are facing war, and after the earthquake, you're thousands of guys short. What a selfish thing to do, to go to Toranaga and to say, since we're already downhill, can I just kill Anjin? And I love that Toranaga came back with this Solomon-like wisdom. That's like, sorry, I think of the John Mulaney joke about King Solomon. Would you like the first half? He's like, okay, great. You want to kill him? Well, you have to kill her too, because it takes two to tango. And if you're going to come to me and you're upset because somebody has a crush on your beautiful wife, okay. But if you're saying it's more than that, then I guess we have to kill her too. And then I'll be left, without a translator, and then I can't get what I want. So say again what it is that you want while you're asking me in the middle of a war. Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Great, bye. Like, I love the way Toranaga handled that.
I'm trying to think of a better way. Yeah, you're right. And I'm trying to think of a better way Bonsura could have handled it. I don't know. Maybe just being straight up with his wife.
Just don't. Just don't. Be nice to your wife. Love her so much that it's hard for her to pull away from Blackthorn. Love her so much that you make it easier and easier for her to look at Blackthorn and go, you know what? I am getting what I need. So this is over.
Take notes, gentlemen. Take notes. Take notes. Kimberly is giving you the information. She's giving you the code. What are you? How did you feel about Toranaga checking was it Mariko right after that, because he wasn't playing sides. He was just like, like you said earlier, this is childish. This is sixth grade talk. I don't have time for this. I like the way he addressed it too, because he didn't necessarily call her out on it or whatever. He was just like, this is enough. Like, you can't play both sides. Okay, you're supposed to be the translator, loyal to me. I'm loyal to you, sir. You keep saying that is what he said. Kind of like, I know your situation sucks. I'm trying to give you purpose, but at the same time, you're making it worse on yourself. So
Yeah.
how did you feel about that dialogue between them and the way he delivered his lines? Because that was not
I
for me.
honestly, I thought it was something that could set her free, because what a woman wants is freedom and understanding. And I really want to I want to see some backstory. I know we're only a couple episodes left, but I want to see some backstory into how he took her on as like a father figure, because what he said to her was actually, I thought it was very odd. This is odd, but I oddly thought it was heartwarming, because he didn't just, I mean, he yelled, he got on her case, but he was more so understanding, like a father. He wasn't, it's like, I know you. I
Mm-hmm.
know you. I know there's this thing, but keep your eyes on the prize. He didn't even have to really, he was more so asking her so she could confront it within herself. He wasn't asking because he didn't know. He's a very wise man, and he
Yeah.
can see that this white boy came over here, and yes, you're his translator, but I know the difference between someone just, okay, yes, okay, let me translate that, to like, hi, like, he's not a stupid man.
Right,
He's
right.
not a stupid man. And so I thought it was actually very fatherly of him to approach her the way he did. Um, it's like a king, I know he's not by definition a king, but it was like a king and a father. And it's like, I have to be a leader right now, but I also love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to confront, like, it was kind of him. I took it as him saying, stop lying to yourself. You know there's something going on. We all know there's something going on, but look around you. We're in chaos. We need to focus. I don't
Right,
have time for this.
right,
You
right.
deal with your ish, because you know it's there. So I thought it was actually very fatherly. And he kind of provided an opportunity, not for her to explain herself, but just to, like, be honest. That woman is so abused. Like, she really needs to be in a space where she can speak freely. And I thought what he did was very fatherly, to say, I know you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know. So I actually really, as upset as he was, I actually really liked that scene
Oh yeah,
between
yeah,
him and
definitely.
Mariko. It was
That's,
very father daughter um, kind of scene.
that's why I keep bringing it up. Let me ask you this though. What are your predictions? We got 3 episodes left after this, 8, 9, and 10. Before and up until the show ends, do you think he will allow her to take her life before the season finale? And
Or,
or are you okay with that happening? Okay, you serve me, take your life.
you
Or,
know, yeah, that's a great question, Brandon. You know what? First of all, I don't think there's been any word, and I would love to see that if there is. I don't think this was planned to be a one off, but I really want a season two. Because I want the Nina, the Pinta, or the Santa Maria, one of those to swing on by.
right,
I might
right.
be off a couple hundred years, but I want to see more, and I think, again, he has true feelings for people. I think he has great camaraderie and affection for Blackthorn. He also doesn't care whether he goes home or
This
not.
this is true.
I think he has very true fatherly affection for Mariko, but she's a translator. She speaks both languages, and don't think for a second I'm going to let you go. Like, you're such an asset to me. Now, if another translator comes by, maybe he'll consider giving her that. But I think as a fatherly figure, he knows. I know you think this will set you free, but your your greater honor to your family is to live. And I think he'll push her to live, not so much out of selfish political ambition, but that fatherly love that I know he has for her is like, it's just like gosh, Yuki and her grandfather, oh gosh, I always say his name wrong,
Hiromatsu.
Hiramatsu.
Yeah.
And she said the same thing. Let me die. And he was like reminded her of who you are and your lineage of samurai. And he told her straight up, you're better living. You're better to live because you have a life to live. You still have settles to score. And so no, I don't think he'll let her do that because he knows what a value she is in terms of just a human being.
Got you. Got you. Something to look forward to is there will be more backstory coming for Mariko and how she came up under Toranaga's wing. I will say that. I am also with you as far as I would love to see a season 2 of this.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm pretty sure you've seen it already, but if you saw the featurettes, the behind the scenes, the making of this show, Toranaga did say that during this time period and after his death, because of his rule, he was able to keep peace in Japan for about 279 years.
Wow.
And that's one of the reasons why Hiroyuki Sanada was so passionate about, retelling this story. So there's a story there, like who was in power after he passed away. I guess I can look up sometime how old he lived. I don't know if that's recorded, but I'm probably sure it is. But I mean, if he was able to keep peace in Japan for 279 years after his passing, after his death, that's pretty amazing.
What
But
the things he put in place, yeah.
yeah, but on top of that, what I would also like to see is a prequel to how he did become the power, or part of the Council of Regents, because
Dude.
the season started out with there already being beef and turmoil between the five, like his relationship with the Taiko. At the very beginning of this episode, we saw that this was 46 years in the past, so he's 12 years old. So what was that?
Wow, the boy warrior.
The boy warrior, yeah. We thought that he had a clean. What was the general's name that surrendered? Mizokuchi or
Mizukuzo?
something like that. He's like, "Hey, I want to record it that
Cool.
that the young boy warlord was my second." And his we'll talk about this in a second, but his brother, Lord Saki, was like, "Hey," telling the story around the table. Hey, he was able to chop the head off with one slice, but we found out later on in the episode when he was talking to Hiromatsu that was a lie. It took nine attempts to chop the head off. So that's
Ow.
interesting right there. But my point is that I want to see all of that when Toranaga was a young boy, and how he became to be. I mean, 12 years old.
Wow.
They even said that, man, your first death or your first war is better than your first time pillowing with a woman. And so, yeah, I want to see that. How did you feel about the opening? Is the war is over? Yeah, and all that hot jazz. Well, not hot
That
jazz.
was so cool. I mean, I love that flashback because you got to see because Toranaga, like, he's just so different. And I just love the way he's playing. Hiroyuki Sanada is playing this role because Toranaga, he walks with the wisdom of Solomon. He's so wise. And you don't get there by being a Yabushige, being selfish, being on your own team. You don't get there by being like Ishido, where it's all political and oh, let's make stuff up to get what we want. You get there by living a life a certain way with a certain form of integrity and a certain law that you create for yourself that you live by. And to see him, like we all know, with much power comes great responsibility. At 12 years old, you have this grown man saying that you have bested me.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have bested me. This 12-year-old kid, dang, man. What did you do at 12?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. So that tells me he's always been a person with a level head that knows what things are. When you're 12 and you're fighting a war, you're seeing how the sausage is made. You're seeing all the behind the scenes. So that's why he's so wise. He doesn't, when his son's like, come on, dad, they called you a ding dong. Let's cut their head off. And he's like, slow your roll, slow your roll. Let's just use wisdom. That's not how we
Yeah,
play this.
yeah,
He's so it just really gives me a peek into how wise he is and why he's so wise. That's what makes me love Tornaga. I
yeah,
love Tornaga, even when he's scheming and he's a little frustrated, like he's a little schemer. I
yeah.
wanted to see some more of his schemes, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead, but that little stick of time, what was that about? I didn't quite understand what Lady Marmalade was saying.
Really? Oh, okay. I'll fill you in.
Or was she disappointed? Like,
No, 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 no. I get to that. We'll bring it up here in a second. Yeah, we'll bring that up here in a second. But
yeah, help
you,
me
you
out with
make
that.
you make me laugh when you talk about Nakakata. Like, hey, Dad, he called you a ding dong. What I want to know is they haven't. We don't know who his mother is.
Yes, we
Nagakata.
do.
Who's his mother?
Oh, his mother's the sweet one from episode 2. Remember where they were all sitting down? It's a Kiri no Kata. Um, and she was like helping because remember in their culture they have more than one wife. So his youngest wife is pregnant. Toranaga's youngest consort is pregnant. And then the older one, when they were sitting down all together, and he had just gotten out of the meeting with the regents, and he was saying to her, and they have this cute exchange about how long they've been together. And he was saying, and she was like, "Oh, when I was young," and he's like, "Oh, you're still young." He's like, "Except for your fat behind." And she was like,
Oh, okay.
"Not in front of the guests." Like,
Got you,
remember
got
they were
you.
kind of
Okay.
joking a little bit because
You're
they've been
right.
together for like 30 something
You're right.
years.
You're right. You're right.
That's
You're right.
that's his mother. And
I
I thought
completely.
that's how I know Toranaga's not one of those warlords, if you will, because he
Okay.
was very gentle and sweet and actually playful and loving with his first wife, I guess you could say. They
Yeah.
had a really sweet exchange. That's the mother. It's
That okay.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
Kiri no Kata.
That completely slipped my mind. The reason why I brought it up and asked is because Tornaga's so wise and smart and been doing. He really probably didn't even have a childhood for the most part. If he's a war, not even just on the field, but like a warlord at 12. And so, with all this knowledge and wisdom, I was wanting to know what the hell happened to Nagakata. Like why are you just so trigger happy and like, yeah, let's go to war and making all these dumb decisions, easily influenced. I was going to say, what is the relationship with his mother? Was it a bad influence? Was she a bad role model? But apparently not. So I just don't know how he just fell off the deep end like this with all of these. Hey, are we going to die with our swords wet of blood? And the way that Toranaga turned around, like, why is it always the ones that's never been in battle so eager to go into battle? And I was just like,
Ooh, I was like,
yeah.
ow.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So but thank you for clearing it up. But as far as a stick of time, I don't know if she had to pay for his time, but a visual representation of that was the incense. Like, hey, let's light one. I have enough. I don't know if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, but when the incense burns out, that means that our time is over. But she just wanted to me, that was just a conversation that she wanted to have, like, hey, I know that we're dealing with all of this turmoil right now, but let's try to look to the future. I have been doing this for a long time. This is the life of a willow woman or the willow world, but I want more for my people and my women. After all this is taken care of, you are building out Edo. Can I have a body of land and not just be a whorehouse, but a place for women to thrive? And it can be a
Yeah.
tea house. We don't just have to offer ourselves to men because we're young and beautiful, but
She
eventually
wanted to teach like etiquette, I think, Japanese etiquette, I think, something like that.
you can interpret it that way as well. But she said after a while our flower wilts or something like that. Like we're just, we're forgotten and discarded. And I want more of that for my women because I've lived my life as a whore. I was, my entire life as a whore. I was born in the gutter. But she was like, you can somewhat relate to all your hardships. She was like, through mine, it's made me very ambitious. And I think she said guile. I can't remember the other word that she used, but
Mhm.
to me, she just saw it as an opportunity, like, hey, I know you're going through some things, but I just want better for myself and my legacy and the women up under me. We don't want to just be men's play. I mean, she's like, it's an honor, but we're more than that, not only we want to be able to thrive in more ways than one. That's how I took it. And so she was
But
just asking for.
yeah,
Go ahead.
but what does she mean when she said, "Why would you make such a careless mistake?" And then she said something about how she's like, oh, the great Toranaga, so cunning. How did you, the boy warlord, don't tell me you did this on purpose. And then she says, why would you make such a careless mistake? And she's kind of like, I took it like, help me out. I took it as she's seeing all these people come in, and his brother comes in, and all of a sudden his brother's got reign over him. I think she's, or this might have been before that scene actually. I saw her, to me, she was kind of calling him out, like the position we're in is pretty vulnerable, but you are the most wise and cunning Toranaga. Like, don't, obviously you didn't do this on purpose, right? Like,
You
I
hit the
think
nail.
it was,
You
to
hit
me,
the
it
nail on
was
the head.
kind of like, like if there's something going on, like me and my ladies, like we have personal time with these men. Like, let me in. Like, let me be a part of what you're doing. Like share some knowledge, bro. Like, say, come on, cut me in on what you're doing. I can help. I can be more than the whores that entertain these guys. We can listen. We could maybe pick up some info for you. Like, come on, like share some information. Is that kind of what she was doing?
Yeah, you're right. That's why he was like, "Thank
Oh,
you for this novel distraction," because
okay.
he's known. I mean, because he's been because she didn't necessarily compare their hardships. She just said that, hey, we can relate because we've both had hard lives since we was a child. You was a
Mhm.
warlord at 12. I grew up in the gutter. I've been a whore all of my life, and that is what shaped us to be the people that we are today. You've been
Okay.
known as that dude all your life, so how did you let your own land be taken over by your half brother? She was like, any spy could have seen this coming from a mile away. But
Yeah.
his excuse was, well, yeah, I was prepared. All my T's were crossed and all my I's were dotted, but an earthquake, decimated my army. So they just kind of put me in this desperate situation to where I had to reach out. And that's completely out of his control. I think that's why she responded, was like, okay, maybe I misunderstood, because she has some information, she has some facts, but she doesn't know everything. And so he kind
Mhm.
of just had to kind of fill her in. And,
Okay.
it was humbling for him as well, to kind of get checked like that. That's why she kept bowing and kept her head down, when she was expressing her thoughts and feelings, because she knew she was, I don't want to say crossing the line or out of pocket, but, being a bit stern with them. But you're right in the way you interpret it. She was like, bro, how did we get into this situation? We can't even leave. We're surrounded, how did you make such a mistake? And then your son is over here popping off. So you're right there, as far as how it's interpreted. But the
I
stick of time burned out and she dipped. Go ahead.
I wanted to kind of backtrack to what you said of how did Nagakato end up being like he is, so foolish. And you know what I was thinking of, Brandon, is like when you have someone great, like even a great athlete, in our day, like to compare to, or you have like a political, just someone great like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or someone that we all look up to, that's a legend, and then you look at their kids, and it's like some of them, either they go a completely different direction and they're like, I can't even come close to what you do, so I'm just not, like, I'm not going to do music. Like,
Mhm.
if you're Michael Jackson's kid, it's like, I'm just going to be a writer, like I'm not even going to bother. But I think what happened with his son, this is just my guess, is that if your dad, it's one thing if your dad, like when he got in his 20s and went to the army, he was a war hero. But when you were playing with building blocks by the same age your dad was commanding an army, that's a lot to live up to.
Mhm.
And Toranaga, if you didn't really have a childhood as a parent, you don't really know how to treat your 12-year-old like a
Good point.
kid,
Good point. Good
other than like, why haven't you conquered any armies? By the way, can you add like
point.
you know, I think he's wise enough to not put that pressure on his kid, but also I think there's a disconnect between Toranaga and his son, because it's not that prideful thing, but it's just like, no, legit, like, I don't get it. Like, how do you think like this? I mean,
Yeah.
by the time I was 12, I have grown men bowing, like killing themselves over me because I won. Like, how could you be so dumb? Like, of course we're not going to do that. Like, so I think there's a disconnect in how to just raise a regular kid when you've been great forever.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Good
think
point.
that's why his son is such a kooky bird.
I
It's
got you.
crazy.
I got you. You know, a day job I had about 6, 7 years ago. Um, she was one of my coworkers was Kenyan, and she just talked about all of the cultural differences, from Black Americans to Kenyans and
Mm,
where she's from. And even over here, all the time, family members and friends would just pop up at their home unannounced just to visit. And I was just saying to myself, that is just so unheard of. Like my mom, dad, and brother would never just pop at my door, like, "Hey, what you doing? Drop everything right now. Let's come in and fellowship. Or won't you go cook me some food as well?" You know, and I'm just like, she says, like, what we in 2024 now? So this is maybe around 2016, 17-ish or whatever. And my jaw hit the ground. I was just like, wow. She was like, "Yeah, Brandon, sometimes I can just be at my house, then my whole family would just come over, 6 people, just randomly, and just come in, take their shoes off. Then I got to just stop what I'm doing, cook them a meal, yada, 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 yada." I say that to say, I know they didn't have cell phones or text messages back in the 17th, 16th century. But I kind of thought about that when Hiramatsu came and visited his granddaughter, Fuji, or whatever. And it was a nice meeting or whatever. I don't know, and now that I think about, I don't know why I gave that little pre-story there. But how did you feel about him popping up like that, and
oh
their relationship, and also him giving her the remains, the ashes? Did we already talk about this? Am I
no,
tripping?
we didn't.
Okay.
No,
And Fuji was like, "Hey, when I'm done serving, I want to die too." But his response was, "Why don't you live and, take in this victory that is around the corner," or something like that. How did you feel about that? If you don't mind.
oh, I thought that was beautiful, and I also, it's interesting. It really speaks to me about history, the Japanese history of that time, because you have some places, and when you think about period pieces that you've seen at other times that take place in the 1600s, maybe in England, you may not see such a great bond between father and daughter in certain cultures, or father and granddaughter. I thought it was so sweet. I thought it was so kind of him to bring her baby's remains, and her husband, his remains. He was so rude to her. But her baby, that was such a kind thing to do, because she had to get on a ship and take a trip to where they are, and then she was made Blackthorn's consort,
Yeah.
and so and her baby. Let me start over. Her husband spoke out of turn like a ding dong, and it cost him. And then he spoke up without her, like, agreement, and was like, "You know what? To make up for it, let's kill my son, my new son." And she's like, "Okay." So she had to deal with losing her baby, and then lost the husband. Okay, but then she had to get on a boat and go somewhere that was foreign to her, and then she had to be the consort of the barbarian. She's been taken. Everything's been taken from her, and then she's been taken from everything that's familiar to her. So I thought it was really sweet. Imagine going through that and just being
Yeah.
like, "I just need a piece of home."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was so sweet to bring the remains of her baby. Like, when
Yeah.
you're away from the plot where your baby's buried, or what have you, that's hard enough even though someone's not alive. Like, you might not want to move out of the state where your parents are buried. So I thought that was just so grandfatherly and
Yeah.
sweet
It was very nice.
and
It was very nice.
kind, and for him to speak life to her when she was like, "I just, when this is over, I'm done."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for him to just say, "Look, like, again, you're the blood of a samurai. Like, you have so much to live for." Was
Yeah.
that conversation. So I really loved that moment. I love that this series is as tender as it is fierce, and I'm loving that about Shogun.
Yeah, yeah. I really like his character for that too. Because she's been dealing with the BS since episode one. Mariko as well, but we haven't seen it on screen just yet. But but for her husband to talk out of pocket and then her innocent child to be just murdered, but him coming just like, hey, and I know in Osaka, I promised you that I would take care of these remains, and I'm just gonna try to do what I can to make you comfortable. And she was even training later on in this episode too, like
I
with
was
that.
like, okay, let's get it,
Yeah.
girl.
She's like, hey man, if we got to fight, I have more than one role. I can be a consort, I can be a wife, I can
Yeah.
serve, I can also box. I'm ready to serve. And so, in one instance, I want to say like, man, all these people need therapy, of course, and they all want to die and commit suicide. But in her case, specifically, like, I don't blame her, man. She's gone through a lot, So shout out to Fuji, trying to hold it down.
Really love her.
Yeah, she's look at her. Ooh. She's
Go ahead, girl.
yeah, she's doing her thing. She's doing her
Doing her
thing.
thing.
So I think it was either episode 5 or 6 recap. You asked me, it's like, man, I wonder if we're gonna see, or maybe it was off screen backstage. You was like, I wonder if we're gonna see Toranaga's brother. And we get him at the very beginning of this episode when
Boy,
they're
do
in the
we.
woods. And what was funny to me was as they're preparing for their arrival, he was off in the cut looking like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that we're not ambushed. Okay, there's Toranaga's army. Oh, they don't got that many. What happened to the army? This is a little regiment here. I'm think we're gonna see hundreds of thousands of men. Buntaro walked up to Mariko, was like, hey man, make sure that Angie keep his mouth shut. Mariko didn't even look at him like, he knows to keep it. He understands. Back up, get back in line.
Do you see how fast she snapped back at him?
She was annoyed. Yes, I was
This
tickled.
business, honey, this doesn't have
Yeah,
anything to do with
yeah,
you. Yeah,
yeah.
okay,
You
bye.
got this.
Like,
You got this.
that
But
was, that's that move
yeah,
right there. That was messed up.
but how did you feel about the whole introduction to your boy? The hat is interesting as
Interesting.
well.
Very
And just the
interesting.
whole interaction. It was a bit tension in the beginning. Yabashige wasn't sure, like, oh man, Hasamaru, how long has it been since they talked? What if he says no? Well, if he says no, this war is over before our blades get wet.
Yep.
I was over like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? But at the beginning, it turned out well. But like, what was your thoughts? What was running through your mind when they were meeting? After all these years, I'm assuming for the first time.
Yeah, I was excited to see. I want to learn more about Tornaga. I want to learn more about the family he grew up in. I mean, what kind of parents raise such a leader? What kind of family do you have? What's your brother like? And honor is something that's so strong inside of Tornaga, and it's really sad to see that. And I'm guessing because of the culture of consorts that they have the same father, different mothers, is
Yeah.
what I'm guessing, just because of what I've seen so far.
Hmm.
Um, but at first, I was like, "Come on, I want to like you. I want to like you," because I'm like, I want to learn more. First of all, he was fine. Secondly, he was too fine. I was like, okay, when he took that thing off, I was like, all right. But I was like, any friend of Tornaga is a friend of mine, so let's see. And I really felt good when he's like, oh, we would be honored to spill blood beside you. Tell
Yeah.
your people that we're down. I was so happy and excited
Yeah.
because I was like, yes, we lost hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of guys in the earthquake. In addition to the fact that we're not doing well with the regents, like, we need this. I felt that, like, we need this alliance, we need this partnership. And I was so happy that I was like, ooh, they got the numbers. They got the numbers. Okay, great. Let's go back to Osaka. Let's do this. So I was like excited, and it was cool to watch him like tell the stories. And because I just want to hear stories about little Toranaga.
Yeah.
Like, is it
Yeah.
like Jesus? Like, you were like little Jesus, like you're just doing miracles and going back to preschool. Like, so I really liked the brother until I didn't.
Right. That was effed up. I liked him. I liked him too. I was kind of saying to myself, what would have gave Toranaga's men, Yabashige, Hiramatsu, everybody Toranaga was with doubts. You know, they didn't necessarily discuss any beef. Well, later on, he said, okay,
Called him a mongrel.
yeah, when Sake was talking to Nagakata at the spring, you know, he called them something pigs, and he was like, "Oh, those insults are as dull as your blades." He was like, "Yeah," and Nagakata was like, "Hey, aren't you ashamed of what you've done?" And he was like, "There's no shame when you're trying to think about your legacy. Me and your dad have had our troubles." I say that to say, I wonder what the beef was to begin with that gave Toranaga's men doubts in the first place that he wouldn't accept the offer. So that would have been very, very nice to know. But man, when they were breaking bread at the table, you know, he had the consorts, they had the drink, they had the food, the fish heads, you know, reminiscing all these stories. Prior to that, they was at the springs and the jacuzzi having a good time. I was just like, as soon as he was like, okay, when Toranaga was like, hey, okay, we'll just talk about my proposal formally tomorrow. As soon as he was like, oh, what's the weight? I was like, wait a minute, he is going to betray him. And then it went down. And man, that was crazy. The way that he had the invitation or whatever, or the script from Osaka, and
Threw it out there.
he just threw it at Haramasa. I was like, oh my gosh, like the disrespect. This is your
The
brother. Like,
disrespect. It be your own brother too.
what did he do? Smash the girl back in the day or something? Like, yeah, I couldn't turn this down. We already made like that is just sad, man. That's just crazy. And also the way that Tornago handled it. You know, he was calm, cool, and collected the whole time. And again, he has that wisdom. He was like, okay, I can't be rash here. I don't want my man to die. We're surrounded. But then again, the way that he yelled at his son, don't accept it. You know, now again, this is also Nagakato's fault because he murdered Jozen off of stupidity. But it wasn't Toranaga's fault, or maybe Ishido doesn't know that. Maybe Sake doesn't know that. Maybe they think that it was Toranaga's idea to do it. You know, they think that Yabashige was a part of that as well. Communication is key. But I was hurt, Kim. That's my point. I was shocked. I was hurt, even though I kind of saw it coming. The look on your face says it all. But yeah, man, what were your thoughts here in this red wedding almost
Yeah, right.
betrayal? You know what I'm saying?
My thing is, why you gotta do him like that? You gotta tell a story about him shotting his pants. Like, why you gotta add insult to
Yeah,
injury? It
right,
was
right.
like, and he shit his pants. So, and what? I'm like, golly, like, okay, like I thought you were gonna tell a story about him like failing or he lost this war, but he was like, and I was like, you really gotta hate somebody
Yeah,
to
yeah,
insult them like that and then betray them because that tells me it's not a matter of like, look, I love you, you're my brother, but I was offered a better deal and this is bigger than us, this is legacy, I had to take this deal. That was like, I hate you so damn much. Oh, I hate you. Like that was some deep hatred for his brother.
yeah,
And the way he threw that, and I was pissed because I was like, so that's what Lady Ochiba was up to. Because they all go way, way back, it must be, because I'm like, you just knew. Like, did you get word of the earthquake already? Or you just knew that he had to form alliances? And of course, his brother has an army. Of course, we got to get to his brother before he does. And that's what they did. That's what the regents did. And when I heard, it's one thing to be like, oh, I'm turning you in for a bounty, but they made him the fifth regent. And I was
yeah,
like, oh, man, are you kidding? It's one thing to not like me and turn me in, but it's another thing to be in bed with the people
yeah,
that like, as far as I know, I think Toranaga's two wives are still in Osaka. Like we just up and forgot about them, but
yeah,
that's some real hate, man. You gotta
yeah,
really hate your brother
yeah.
to insult him like that.
Another reason why we can use a prequel. You know.
I hello.
Now I want to ask you this:
Yeah.
do you like what Blackthorn did, Or do you think he was completely out of pocket and could have just blew up the spot when he was like, okay, let me contemplate. With Tornaga's like, let me contemplate. I'll let y'all know tomorrow evening. And so the next day or the next scene, they're all dressed up in the royal garb in the little area, and Lord Sake's army shows up. And again, I like the wide shot of him showing how deep his army was, because they give us brief glimpses of that, and knowing, okay, this is not just a basketball team. We got hundreds of people. So that's cool. I like that right there. But it was like, hey, did you make your decision? He's like, okay, yeah, we'll surrender. We'll go back to Osaka. Yabushige and Nakakata didn't want to accept the answer. They stood up like, sir, can I have a word? No, you may not. Sit your ass back down. But Blackthorn was like, man, F all of this. Even prior to that, he's pacing around in the house like, okay, this is what we can do. Me and Yabushige can sneak on my ship. We can fix the sail, and then we can ride out and blow their ass away. And bruh, what the F, man? Like, chill. I like Blackthorn for that. But he just charged up the whole set.
At first, I thought it was like a bait and switch. I thought it was a plan between him and Tornaga. Like, look, here's the thing. I'm going to get mad, right? And then I'm going to get like real upset. And I'm going to be like, I'm mad. And then you're going to come in and like question me. Then I'm going to rise up out of the ashes like a phoenix, yo. And then I'm just going to like set it off. Like, I thought it was a plan. Like, I thought something was happening. And it was nothing going down but frustration.
I was just like, oh my God, bro, you're about to get your head chopped off 3 times. Chill out.
Pissed. He's pissed because remember, he still has his boys in Edo, or what's left of them. And so kind of, I'm like, do we have a 3 Musketeers situation? Like, when they get together, do they set it off? Like, so I'm like, part of me is pissed because I was like, first of all, it started out with him saying, you know what? You give me all these gifts. You give me gifts, you give me land, you give me nice titles, you give me these swords. That's great. But what does it all mean if you don't actually include me in your plan?
Good point.
You're just giving me gifts, and I didn't come all the way from England to Japan through Magellan Strait for your gifts. You won't let me get back on my ship. You won't let me get my guys and leave. So he's a man of action. He's like, look, if you're not going to let me have my ship and my men and go, at least, because remember, they still have their issues with the Portuguese, like, at least include me in your plans so we can get these Portuguese and like kill them. Like, but don't do this thing where you're placating me with these stupid gifts.
I feel
I've been nice. I've been bowing. I've been accepting your gifts. I was trying to leave. I was going to leave. And now you're not even going to tell me, but now, you just want to give up? In addition to not letting me know what's happening and not listening to me and not letting me have a voice and not giving me my ship. Because if you want to give up, okay, I grew to love you, but fine, give up. Just give me my men and my boat. But no, you want to keep those things from me, and then you want to surrender? You want to surrender? You know what? It took me right back to coming to America at the barbershop. F you, F you too. That's what Blackthorn did. He's like, if let me go back to England, then you had me thinking we were gonna do this Crimson Tide and we were gonna we're gonna go get him. And I could satisfy with that because maybe we could like wrap the Portuguese up in that, defeat them. I could be about my business. But you're gonna put me through all this and then you're gonna give up?
Yeah, I feel you.
Screw you. I never liked you. Screw you. I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
Very good point.
Yeah,
very good point. And on top of that, they had him train. They had him train his army with the cannons and stuff. Like, for what? We're not gonna blow some shit up. You know what I'm saying?
What are we doing? And then he says Crimson Tide was a mistake. You already thought it was a mistake, and then they convinced you to do it, and you're like, Crimson Tide. And then now it's like, it was a mistake. And he's like, y'all can make your mistakes by yourself.
Right.
I'd like to be on my way back to England with my peoples.
Right.
So
Also, go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm very interested to see something, Brandon. And mind you, I'm watching up before we do our reviews. I'm not ahead. I know you did your season review. I don't know what's going to happen next. His guys, whoever's holding them in Edo, if they're smart, they'll be like Toranaga and say, I don't like you. You stink. You foul, mousy trash. But like they were with Blackthorn, you do war a certain way that maybe I don't know. So I'm hoping that his boys are back in Edo teaching people how to fight the English way. Let's grab a bottle, we break said bottle, then we cut the throat. Okay, that's how we do it back in the pub. I'm hoping they're exchanging some info and they're building their own little army. But I felt Blackthorn's frustration 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, great points, Kim. I definitely agree with you. I'm also trying to think about Toranaga. He's like, he don't want his people to die, but sometimes you got to go out swinging, and so it's tough. And staying on Blackthorn real quick, I forgot to talk about he's been there for months, at least 6 to 8 months, but he still hasn't learned how to use a sword, because Yabashige is frustrating, pissing the wind. Pull your sword out, disarming him like that. Buntaro sees this opportunity, like, yeah, I can take off his head now. Toranaga said no, but here we are. I like that scene right there.
I love that scene.
Right? Tom Cruise learned how to use a sword. He became one of them, but that's not the case. That would have been too predictable, and so he's been there this whole time carrying the swords, don't know how to use them. I like that too. You say you like it as well? Go ahead. What say you?
I'm right there with you, Brandon. You bring up a good point. He's walking around with these swords that have been passed down from samurai to samurai, and you don't know how to use
them. Yeah.
They're just for looks. But I actually, it's so funny because Yabashige is in that moment again where he's like, everywhere I look, there's death, man. And he kind of, because remember, I genuinely think that Yabashige kind of likes Blackthorn a little bit, because he likes to mess with them. But I think, he's like, okay, you taught us some stuff with the cannons. I'm okay, because whatever I want to do up my own sleeve, I could use you. He sees some value in him, but he's like, he sees the ship going down in flames. So he's like, look, we need all hands on deck. Can you fight?
Yeah.
Let me see what you got. Oh my God, you suck. Okay, look, stand up straight.
Right.
Two hands. They go, 2 hands. Let me show you what to do. So he kind of was he wasn't just bullying him. He was giving him kind of a rough, like, you need to learn how to use these swords, because if I'm going to die, I'm for damn sure not going to die because I didn't teach everyone how to fight for their life.
Right.
But Buntaro is just so mental, man. He's so mental. Like, they're doing a lesson and you're just going to come in and be like, well, I want to try. I'm going to cut your throat. You stand in the corner, sir, face the wall, and shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
You're crazy. You sound crazy. And you're doing crazy. You're just walking around the forest doing nuts. Like, do crazy somewhere else. Like, we're trying to figure out how we're all going to survive. Like, your issues with your wife, get out of your feelings. For a hard warrior, Buntaro is all up in his feelings. What a baby.
Very, very true. Very true. We're going to see if that's going to be his demise, lead to his demise before the season is over with. Maybe you have a change of heart and do what you suggest, or he'll be powerful. We're going to have to see. Let us know in the comment section what you think, what you guys think is what's going to happen with Buntaro next. But last scene here, what is his name? Lord Psycho.
Yeah, basically.
Psyche,
you said that right.
He's getting it on. He has Kiku doesn't look like she's enjoying herself. Has the scarf tied around his throat. I don't think I've ever seen that before, where the male wants to be choked while he's doing his thing. And do you think that Kiko was a part of Nagakato's plan to chop his head off, and that was a distraction? Like, hey, I got some toys, I can intensify moments here. But while Blackthorn didn't know how to use a sword, neither did Nagakato, because he attacks his men. yeah, he attacks Psyche's men, the little ambush. I was really expecting it to be a throwdown because as Psycho, I won't keep on calling him Psycho. Psyche was putting on his robe. He's like, oh, you're trying to be a man, you know. I'm like, is he going to block the sword with his hand or something like that?
Okay.
That would have been badass. But man, you know, Nakakata is taking things in his own, and he's taking over. He's trying to, you know, do his own thing and murder him. And while it was stupid, I necessarily can't blame him either. Like, if we're gonna die, I'm gonna try my best. But yeah, they take out a few people. Psyche trips and falls and can't get up, and he's about to kill him. And I was like, wait a minute, this could turn out good. And you slip on a rock and bust your skull open. Oh my gosh, your daddy is already frustrated beyond belief. And now you add this onto the table. Man, Kimberly, what is going to happen next episode? What did you think about all of that blood spilling
First
into the
of
water?
all, the direction was great in terms of the direction with the editing was really good because he made this big thing in the hot tub with Omi about, well, if I'm gonna die, it's gonna be the best death in the world. Well, first of all, okay. But secondly, he wants so badly to be his dad. But you know, it's so funny, this kid, if you really watch your dad, you notice he's one of those guys that doesn't pull out a gun unless he needs to. So he's got this glorified vision of war that from being alongside his dad, he's foolish. He's the definition of being foolish because you can see how a real man of power operates, and he's quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Like his dad is a wise man, but you're over here. Can we blow something up? Like you're so foolish, young man. You're such a fool, and you think your death is going to be great. Dude, the direction at the end, first of all, it was one of these, oh my God moments for me.
Yep.
My face was like, oh no. Like I was just silent. Like I was like, oh no. Because he hit that rock hard. But if you listen, I watched until the credits were rolling, and all the way to the credits ending, it just played silence with the rain and the sound of the stream. And I think the direction there, along with the editing, was perfect because it was just highlighting without words how unmagnificent that boy's death was.
Yeah.
How common it was.
Yeah.
You built this life up. You built up everything to, I'm not going to die. I'll live forever. But if I do die, it's going to be amazing. You built this whole thing up, and you slipped and fell on some fabric.
Yeah.
But the way that the way there was no music at the end, I liked that. The way it just went out with the sound of rain and just like, oh well, life. I thought that just kudos to the director. Kudos. That silence was wonderful because there was no score. There was no, and then he died. You know, it was just. It was just how sad. You tripped. You fell.
Yeah, you're right. And
but that's but I have to say, when you're a foolish man instead of a wise man, that is how you die.
Good point. This is true. It's very embarrassing because Psyche said that as well. He was like, there's nothing great about this or honorable about this, like rubbing in like, you piece of crap. I thought that he was going to succeed and then go bragging to his father like, hey, Dad, look what I did. And then Tornaga was going to have to fight Psyche's army, and then they was going to do Crimson Sky. And I was like, oh, that would have been a great ending as well. We didn't think there was going to be an attack on Osaka, but there is now, or they're attacking us. So very, very interesting. And again, great way to wrap it up right there with the silence and the rain and the editing and the direction. So guys, I can't wait to talk about episode 8 because this one was a doozy, and I enjoyed the episode, and more importantly, I enjoyed this recap review reaction with you, Miss Kimberly. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is going to wrap it up. Do you have any final thoughts?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. That is going to wrap it up for our Shogun episode 7 recap review for A Stick of Time. We will be back same time, same place next week for episode 8. And I cannot wait. Oh, bars. Guys, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave it in the chat. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channels, all that good stuff. We would really, really appreciate it. Before we head out of here, Miss Kimberly, what do you got going on your lovely platform for all the good people to look forward to?
Yeah, definitely. I have a podcast coming called The Film That Made You ... So if you are a person whose life has been changed by inspiration from a film, please reach out to me. I would love to have you on my upcoming podcast. And I want to say this, Brandon. I have to say this. Yeah, spotlight, definitely. You guys, Brandon is so close to 50,000 subscribers.
Yes.
If everybody watching shared the video, give him a shout out on Instagram, give him a shout out on Facebook, give him a shout out wherever you are. Share the video, tell your friends. Let's build this film community out, you guys. Let's get him to 50,000 subscribers. Let's go.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Kim. I'm 144 away. So,
oh my gosh, you guys, we can so do this.
We can. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the love. Guys, check out my X-Men 97 episode 3 recap. Check out the recap for Movie News Roundup 121. Also, my Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire review, my Bad Boys 4 trailer reaction, and also the last episode of Super Duper. I had some technical difficulties, but hey, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. But guys, again, we just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, that's Kimberly, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.